Hi everybody, Michael Redden here, and I'd like to talk to you guys today about family meetings. These are very important, especially in the family business process, because the family needs to get together, relate to each other, and talk about this shared thing they have. Whether you've got a lot of money or you have a family business, chances are that more people than just the founder sacrifice things for success. So everyone feels like they have a stake in that, and it is your family. These things should be talked about. How's the business going to do? If some folks aren't quite ripe yet and able to come into that, let's talk about that. How are we going to change that? Do people even want to be a part of things? What policy are we going to have about folks coming into the business who are family members or not? Really, these kinds of things are best to talk about now. We want to have these discussions before they become an issue. We'll determine how we're going to interact with each other, what's important to each of us, what our goals are. Mom and dad at some point should be talking about when they're going to exit the business, what that's going to look like, what their expectations are, where those things are going to go. This communication is really where it's key, and it prevents a lot of those problems later down the road. Even if we're talking about not having business acumen and using business consultants, those things start now. If we start talking about where the business is going to go, how we're going to relate to each other, where people are going to go to school, those kinds of things, who needs help with what. When you have a family business, you really need to start thinking about those things and talking together, because it's these discussions that are going to hold the family together once you're gone. Especially if you're the founder and you pass this on to your kids, then they pass it on to their kids. At some point, those relationships are going to be a little bit different than father, son, brother, sister. There may be cousins to cousins and nieces to nephews. It really helps your family situation if you discuss these things and you set about a method that you guys can communicate to each other and relate to each other regarding the business and family issues that's been passed down from generation to generation and been put in place. This is the basic concept of family governance. And I firmly believe that a lack of family governance and not really putting formal kinds of processes and things like this in place is why most of our family wealth doesn't transition well to the second generation. It's even worse to the third, because we didn't take the time to talk about these things and really learn how to work together and be together as a family in relation to this business. We just had a business that had a life of its own. It was your baby. You fed it. The family fed it. Your blood, sweat, and tears. The family's blood, sweat, and tears. But we never stopped to think about and talk about what's it going to be like. It's really akin to a situation where a married couple are raising a child, and that child comes of age and leaves the home. And then they realize they spent no time together. They don't know who they are anymore, who each other are. They don't know what their goals are. They don't know how they can relate. And it causes strain on that relationship. It's the same thing, larger for the family. But if you take that together and you spend time with your family and you talk about these things and you come out even with formal processes on how you're going to do things and delegate responsibility and keep everyone involved, then we get better outcomes. And family governance that's formalized going forward after something like selling your business or even during it leads to better outcomes. You can be more organized. You can raise the value of the business. You can help prepare for transferring it on. You can prepare for those acquisitions. You can do all those things. You can prepare for just going out of it and being philanthropic or just enjoying life and knowing how those things go. And people know the plan, and they've talked about it, and they've been a part of it from day one. So there's less likelihood there's going to be fights and bitterness, because they've all had a piece in shaping the family's future, what the family is going to look like, and how the family is going to relate to each other and operate later on. So I really encourage you, if you don't do it already, to start at least monthly family meetings. And there are some definite do's and don'ts and some definite best practices. And if you have questions, we can definitely talk about those. But you really got to get this in place first. And then after you've learned to relate to each other, then you can formalize how you're going to do it. And then the family will be able to function and keep everything together, and you'll prevent most of the problems that are associated with how we transfer businesses on today and those problems that it creates for the family.